You use people, Stan. Use people, Martin? That's not coming from you. That's woman talk.
What up, I love old school music fam? Most fans remember Garrett Morris as the slick-talking, paisley shirt-wearing boss Stan Winters on the hit 90s sitcom Martin. But what many didn't know is just how foul things got behind the scenes and how badly the veteran actor was treated while recovering from an excruciating experience that almost took him out of here. And in recent years, he's naming names and telling all about what he says Martin Lawrence did to him. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, share, and tap that notification bell to subscribe. Okay, so in 1994, during Martin's second season, Garrett was the victim of a brutal robbery in Los Angeles. He was shot in the chest, which led to multiple major surgeries, a coma, and the use of a colostomy bag for 8 months. In his own words during an interview with the Archive of American Television, Garrett broke it down like this. I was shot. Some people tried to rob me. I'm first-degree black belt. When the guy grabbed me, I turned around ready to sidekick him, and he had a gun, and he shoots me and messes up my intestines. I had to have a colostomy for like 8 months. It wound up with me having about 10 major operations because when I got to the hospital, I was in a coma, Garrett revealed. Now, you'd think the producers of Martin would have shown some compassion to a man fighting for his life, but well, at least not according to Garrett, they didn't. He said not only did they not wait for his full recovery, they blindsided him with a script while he was still in the hospital, mid-surgery. That's when the person who was producing Martin decided to fire me while I was actually in the hospital itself. It was around the time of my fourth major operation, and I received a script that said, Stan sells the radio station and moves to China, revealed Garrett. Although he didn't initially name the producer he was referring to in that interview, Garrett later clarified that he was talking about Martin Lawrence, which we'll get to in a sec. But he found out he was written off the show not from a phone call, not from a meeting, but from a makeup artist on set who casually confirmed he was being cut loose. I said to the makeup lady, does that mean I'm out of the show? And she says, Garrett, it looks like it to me. Now at the time, Garrett didn't publicly name names. He kept it politically correct, just said the person producing Martin made that call. He admitted he felt wrong, but chose not to fight for his spot because, in his words, I don't like you even, so I don't want to even fight to be with you, Garrett said, referring to Martin Lawrence, whom he says was the show's producer that fired him. He said he could have pulled what he referred to as, quote, a Della Reese and gone on strike or demanded equal treatment. But at that point, he was just thankful to be alive. I had already gone through knowing that I had dodged a bullet, Garrett Morris confessed. I could have been dead, so I was so overjoyed at being alive that the firing was actually nothing. But years later, the gloves came off. During his interview on Netflix's Strong Black Lead series, Garrett finally named the person he'd been referring to all along, Martin Lawrence himself. He said, the man who produced Martin was basically Martin Lawrence. After I had no bad words with him still to this day, I do not understand why he decided to fire me while I was in Daniel Freeman Hospital. And to make matters worse, Garrett claimed Martin tried to save face in public, giving interviews saying he'd visited him in the hospital and cried by his bedside. But Garrett wasn't buying it, stating, not only did he fire me when I was in the hospital itself, but then went around telling people in interviews that he came and sat by my bed and cried and stuff like that, he concluded.
But the man who produced Martin basically was Martin Lawrence.
Yeah.
And after I had no bad words with him, still to this day I did not understand why he decided to fire me while I was in Daniel Freeman Hospital. Not only fired me when I was in the hospital itself, but then went around telling people at interviews that he came and sat by my bed and cried and stuff like that.
Now that's wild. Imagine giving your all to a show, surviving a life-threatening incident, and then being let go while you're still hooked up to machines. At the end of the day, Garrett Morris kept it classy. He moved on, stayed working, and continued following his passion. Even in his 80s, he's still out here booking roles and doing what he loves. But it just goes to show you, this entertainment industry can be cold-blooded. Let us know what y'all think. Was Garrett done dirty? Should Martin have reportedly handled that differently? And don't forget to like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you never miss these old school gems we dropping. Thanks for rocking with us. I love old school music, old school news with a new point of